ColePalmer was a City reject who watched others shine until he flipped the script at Chelsea with ice-cold vengeance, outscoring Premier League icons. What moment turned him into the league's deadliest midfielder? Stay tuned for a twist you won't see coming.
Palmer, lovely turn. ColePalmer setting himself up and getting the goal for Chelsea.
When ColePalmer left Manchester City for Chelsea on September 1st, 2023, few imagined he would become the Premier League's breakout star by season's end. People even doubted why Chelsea was buying him for £40 million. They thought he would be another squad player and not the talisman that Chelsea desperately needs. However, Palmer had different plans. Fast forward to April 2024, and Palmer wasn't just Chelsea's most influential player, he was one of the Premier League's deadliest attackers, and the Young Player of the Season for 2023-24. On April 5th, Stamford Bridge hosted a thriller, Chelsea vs Manchester United. Palmer showed the world what he's made of with a sensational hat-trick, including a 100th minute penalty to clinch a 4-3 win. That night, he became the youngest Chelsea player since Christian Pulisic to net a Premier League hat-trick. 10 days later, Palmer demolished Everton with 4 goals in a 6-0 rout. He became the first Chelsea player since Didier Drogba in 2010 to score consecutive home hat-tricks. By the end of the 2023-24 Premier League season, Palmer tallied 22 goals and 11 assists, making him Chelsea's top scorer and the Premier League's most productive attacking midfielder. Only 3 midfielders in Premier League history, Matthew Le Tissier, Frank Lampard and Yaya Toure, have previously recorded a 20-plus goal season. On the international stage, Gareth Southgate could no longer overlook him. Palmer made his England debut in November 2023 against Malta. As Euro 2024 approached, debates raged. How could England bench their most informed playmaker? They did it initially, and England suffered badly. Palmer had to come from the bench and score clutch goals to win the position of a starter on the team. He also scored the equaliser in the final, but the fate that day was more with Spain. However, before this City heartbreak, Palmer's ascension had deeper roots, beginning with a childhood decision that altered Manchester football history. In 2010, an 8-year-old ColePalmer stood at a crossroads that was very unusual for most children in the world. Manchester United, a club he adored, and Manchester City, the rising force with a revolutionised academy. Both wanted him. It was the time when United won the Champions League in 2008 and played the final in 2009, a force to be reckoned with in the Premier League. Raised in Wythenshawe, a working-class neighbourhood in Manchester, Palmer had idolised Wayne Rooney. His father, Jermaine Palmer, a local Sunday League legend, nurtured his obsession with the Red Devils. However, Palmer made a decision that surprised many. He chose Manchester City. The reason was not about loyalty to a badge, it was about development. City's academy promised him freedom. They saw Palmer as a creator, not restricted to a wing or forward role. For the young playmaker, this was the environment where he could sharpen his football IQ, not just his physical attributes. His early years at City were marked by brilliance and doubt. Technically gifted, Palmer often played above his age group. Yet, at 15, the whispers began. He's too small, too slender, not physical enough for top-flight football. In a system where physical development often dictated progress, Palmer's future was uncertain. In that make-or-break situation, Jason Wilcox, City's academy director, saw something which others could not. He was convinced that Palmer's mind would compensate for his fragile physique. "Cole thinks 2 passes ahead," he said in 2018. Wilcox's belief proved crucial. By 2019, he was captaining City's under-18s, leading them to a Premier League North title, and starring in the FA Youth Cup final against Chelsea. He scored a clutch 83rd minute goal in a narrow 3-2 victory of Man City against Chelsea. Though his leadership and technical class were undeniable, breaking into City's first team was another challenge. The club's stacked midfield meant Palmer's path was always going to be a fight. Yet, the boy who could have been a Red Devil had now fully embraced his City blue, ready to challenge the very system that doubted him. For many academy graduates, making a senior debut is the moment of arrival. For ColePalmer, it was merely the first fight in a longer battle. On September 30th, 2020, he made his senior debut for Manchester City in a Carabao Cup match against Burnley. He netted his first senior goal in a 6-1 win over Wycombe in the third round of the EFL Cup. However, despite sparkling performances on limited chances, Palmer's trajectory stalled. Over the next 2 seasons, he became a familiar figure in Pep Guardiola's matchday squads, but was rarely trusted with significant minutes. Due to the presence of Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, and Ilkay Gundogan, his path was blocked and opportunities remained limited. By 2023, Palmer had just 19 Premier League appearances to his name, most as a late-game substitution. City's solution to this situation was a proposed loan move to Burnley, reuniting him with Vincent Kompany. Palmer saw it differently. For him, the loan wasn't development, it was a delay to what he could become. He craved a permanent stage, a club that would entrust him with real responsibility. Here enters Chelsea into the picture, a club desperately looking for an attacking midfielder to partner with their recent marquee signing of Enzo Fernandez. Under new sporting directors and a vision for long-term squad building, Chelsea offered Palmer a £40 million permanent transfer. The management of City was furious that they'd let go of Palmer, especially when Gundogan also left after the treble-winning season. In the long run, the unfolding events of last season proved it was a blatant mistake. How could you let go of a genius young player when most of your midfield is over 32? De Bruyne got injured, Gundogan was never the same after coming back from Barca, Bernardo Silva is haunted by age, and suddenly, Foden found himself all alone and isolated in a star-packed midfield of City. On the other hand, Palmer silenced the doubters instantly. He scored his first Chelsea goal in October against Burnley. Then, weeks later, in the dramatic clash against Manchester City, Palmer converted a penalty in the stoppage time to secure a 4-4 draw in a game where Chelsea was written off completely. The celebration of Palmer after that goal, with a calm, arms outstretched shrug, laid the foundation of the ColePalmer persona. That decision of ColePalmer's transfer to Chelsea was more than a change of shirt, it became a transformation of identity. At Manchester City, his role was narrowly defined: stay wide, wait for chances, and fit into the system. However, at Chelsea, under Mauricio Pochettino, Palmer was given something City never truly offered: the freedom to dictate games, and not just participate in them, what he always did in under-18s and academy football. Rather than pigeonhole him as a right winger, Pochettino allowed Palmer to drift into the right half space, acting as Chelsea's de facto playmaker. In many matches, he operated in an advanced free 8 role, while orchestrating attacks with a composure that belied his age. His spatial awareness allowed him to consistently find pockets between the lines, turning routine possession phases into goal-scoring chances. Palmer's link-up play with Nicholas Jackson became a focal point of Chelsea's attacking patterns. With the raw number of assists to Jackson stood at 11, their combination created numerous secondary chances that reshaped Chelsea's right flank or centre dynamics. Palmer's one-touch layoffs and the Sky's through balls often unlocked rigid defenses, turning Jackson into a far more effective outlet. Off the ball, Palmer's pressing intelligence was equally vital. Pochettino and then Maresca often tasked him with triggering Chelsea's press traps, knowing Palmer's anticipation could force turnover high up the pitch. This dual role of creator and presser made him indispensable in Chelsea's tactical setup. But what truly defined Palmer's evolution was his mental steel. Chelsea's chaotic season, filled with youthful errors and inconsistencies, needs a calm figure in decisive moments. Palmer always delivered in this regard. His 100% penalty record of converting all 9 chances, especially under high-pressure moments against teams like Manchester City and Manchester United, gave us a new clutch player of world football as ColePalmer. By the end of the 2023-24 season, Palmer was more than a breakout talent. He was the record breaker and the leader of Chelsea's attack. This leader, ColePalmer, led Chelsea to return to the Champions League after just 1 year. Also, 4th position in the Premier League after finishing middle of the table last year. His tally of 37 goals and 20 assists in 2 years since his debut with Chelsea is too good to be true for an attacking midfielder. Even most wingers don't boast high goal-scoring stats like these. However, Palmer's rise wasn't defined by volume alone. It was the efficiency of his output that set him apart. He registered a goal involvement every 87 minutes, outpacing even some of the league's established forwards. His penalty record of 9-9 was the best by any Premier League player under 23 in a single season, surpassing the previous records held by the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Eden Hazard in their early years. In fact, he broke the Premier League all-time record of most penalties scored without missing one. In terms of chance creation, Palmer's underlying numbers were elite. He averages 2.5 key passes per 90 minutes, ranking him in the top players across the league, along with Bruno Fernandes and Martin Odegaard. His ability to slow down chaotic moments and execute precise final third passes, it gave Chelsea a level of composure that they'd lacked since the departure of Cesc Fabregas. But perhaps the most telling stat of all was Palmer's impact on Chelsea's big matches. 2 goals and an assist in the Club World Cup final against a fierce PSG. He also scored or assisted against every Big Six club this season, which shows how important a player he is for them under pressure. From a boy who once waited for scraps of minutes at City to a player rewriting Premier League history books, Palmer's trajectory isn't just about revenge, it's about redefining what a modern attacking midfielder can be. Efficient, cold-blooded, and unflinchingly decisive. This is the player who wasn't handed minutes, he had to rip them out of the system. They told him to wait, he told them to watch. Now, with every ice-cold goal,